Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show. Now, this was supposed to be a top 10. I said it would be a top 10 in the tournament recap, and I was like, if you have any ideas for top 10s, put them in the description, and yeah. And then Blizzard was like, no, we're releasing news, and you have to talk about it, because otherwise people are going to bitch about you for it. So yes, I am talking about the news this week. The top 10 is going to be next week or the week after, depending on things. It may even be on a Thursday if I don't have room anywhere else. But anyway, so for this video, as it was going to be on a certain other video that I was planning, I'm bringing on Samaka, who randomly made a cameo in a previous video completely by accident.
Hello.
Yeah, that was a tournament recap. When the Nat Pagel and Tinkmaster changes happened, I was still on TeamSpeak, so he joined halfway through my spiel on that. Bit of an interesting join. Anyway,
it happens.
how have you been, Samaka?
I'm doing alright. You, Jotto?
Pretty good. Samaka is the second in command tournament person at Managrind, basically, after Shiv.
Something like that.
Yeah, and mostly runs NA stuff as opposed to EU. Mostly because time zones.
Yep.
Time zones stop problems.
Time zones.
Anyway, so the news that they released was about the adventure system. Now, the adventure system was basically their mini expansions. In most card games, you get expansions and sets and set reviews and things like that, but as I've done in the past with Soulforge. But in Hearthstone, they're going to have two different types. There's expansions, which are card sets, and then adventures, which are basically raids from World of Warcraft, but you get cards as loot instead of items, from what I
Sounds
understand.
about right.
Yeah, there's even boss fights. It's really, really interesting the way they're doing it, and there's new boards and things like that. And so they released a lot of information, including 5 spoiled cards.
Woo!
Yep, I was going to tag this on the end of the top 10, but then I realized 5 spoiled cards.
A lot to talk about.
If you look at my history with spoiled cards, it usually lasts for like half an hour when it should do 5 minutes. And
So in the case that this one card is used in this really one obscure situation, and that's how the entire conversation goes for hours.
the problem is that I don't even script it that way. I just randomly start talking about stuff in the middle of a video, and I didn't even think about it before the video. Didn't even think about it. Randomly comes up, and then I keep going. And
Spur
it's
of
just,
the moment, so I make good video.
whatever. Anyway.
Good content for you guys.
Jeez. Whatever. Anyway.
This is gonna be fun.
Yes, it will be. So, first of all, it's called Naxxramas. Yes, you're very clever, Blizzard. You put one of the vanilla raids in the beginning of the adventure system. We get
It was
it.
changed in Wrath, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't a World of Warcraft player personally, so I'm not going to comment on that one.
Thanks.
Anyway, so it's an adventure based on Naxxramas and all the stuff that happened in there. So there's a lot of undead themes in this particular one, a lot of death rattle themes, shades, things like that. And also, the art is ridiculous. We're actually going to look over that at the end of the video because it's hilarious. But starting with the actual cards, this is sort of the main reason for this video. There are 5 spoiled cards. Blizzard finally realized that spoiler season is good for building hype.
Yay!
So we have
Reason
spoiler
to
season.
keep me playing.
Basically, yes. So that is the reason I'm using a browser here, is because you can't put this on slides because it copy-pastes the entire background. So anyway, first card. The Undertaker. It's a 1-mana 1/2. Good start. It's common. Whenever you summon a minion with Death Rattle, it gains +1/+1. So it's like a Secret Keeper for Death Rattle, but it only works on your stuff.
Yep, and it is amazing.
It's really good. Like, when I first saw this, it wasn't that good, and I was thinking, well, you got Leopardome, Harvest Golem, and ... because you're not going to play Karen or Sylvanas with this thing on the board, seriously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you might, if like a turn 7, if like you just want to round out.
Nice 1-drop on turn 7.
Hey, it happens. You know, if you want to round out, and that gives you 2 things on board, it's never a bad thing. Jeez, Joe, don't cut me some slack.
I'd rather do something else. Anyway, but Undertaker, basically, they introduced a lot of Death Rattle stuff, actually, in just the 5 cards that were spoiled. There are 2 Death Rattle cards, one that makes Death Rattles more powerful, and I think this is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fetch all the Death Rattle cards in a second here, just because it's very relevant.
Yeah, there's Well, there's two that we're going to get to. There's Lepronome, which fits perfectly with this thing in an aggro. There's Harvest
Yeah.
Golem, fits perfectly. There is
Karen and Sylvanas.
Force of Nature.
Not Force of Nature, it's...
The Treants have Death Rattle.
No, the Treants don't have Death Rattle.
Yes,
they have
they do.
No, they have an effect that kills them.
It's
It's
a Death
Soul
Rattle
of the
Virgo.
Forest.
No. Force of Nature. The 3 Treants have Death Rattle, so they die at the end of turn. Or not Death Rattle. No, it's just
It's an
Sacrifice.
effect.
Used to be a
It's
Death Rattle.
just an effect.
I'm confusing
Yeah.
Alpha with actual release. This is
Also,
the problem
there's
if
an
you play this
update
game for too long.
Hearthstone, which is odd, but anyways.
Interesting. But yeah, Soul of the Forest doesn't even apply to this, so ignore that.
It can. I mean, it can summon 2/2/2s. It turns stuff into Savannah High mains. I guess. Oh, wait, no, wrong thing. Never mind.
Wow, we're
No.
failing on this one. Anyway, so besides that, you have Lepronome, Harvest Golem, Cairn, Sylvanas, Savannah Highmane,
Abomination.
Abomination. No, don't play Abomination with this, please don't. Just don't
Hey,
even try.
Death Rattles and dies.
Loot Hoarder, that's a big deal.
Yep.
Blood Mage Thalnos, another big
Mhm.
deal. I think the major ones with this one, because it's such a fast tempo card, is going to be Lepronome, Harvest Golem, Loot Hoarder, Blood Mage Thalnos.
Mhm.
Going to be the major ones, and also the 3 mana Death Rattle and the 2 mana Death Rattle that we actually get from the spoilers. Now, the question is it a 1-drop worth playing in mid range? And I think the answer may be no,
In mid range.
because you need some early Death Rattle stuff. Otherwise, it's no Unbound
I mean,
Elemental. That's the problem.
If you're playing the what should I call it? If you're playing the Lepronome, not Lepronome, if you're playing the Hoarders and the Harvest Golems, then I think it has some value, but it's not particularly amazing.
The problem I have with it is it's not Unbound Elemental. Like, it doesn't have the stats to start with.
Unbound Elemental doesn't cost 3.
It doesn't cost 1, but yeah, but in mid range, 3 rounds out more than 1.
For sure. But it gives you a good turn 1, whereas a lot of mid-range suffers where it doesn't have a turn 1,
That's
usually.
true. So they even
So,
run Argent Squires sometimes, which is kind of weird.
which is very awkward. So at least this could get some buffs out.
Yeah.
It becomes a 2/3, regularly, and a 3/4, probably at best, but even there, not bad.
Probably at best. I mean, you could. There's obviously the God Draw situation when you go like turn 1 double Undertaker, turn 2 double Lepronome. Yes, you're very clever. Try and actually get that in a game.
It happens.
Interact for 6 on turn 2. But yeah, it's like the Secret Keeper God Draw thing, where people got really, really excited about Secret Keepers. They was like, turn 1 double Secret Keeper, turn 2 double Paladin Secret. And I'm like, that never happens. Ever.
Yep.
Never happens. But in this case, you're not playing a bunch of secrets you don't want to play. You're playing a bunch of minions, which are actually very, very good. So I'm on the fringe of saying that this will see constructive play. Definitely will.
hmm
It probably will see play in Zoo.
Yeah, that's actually a really good card for Zoo.
It's really good for Zoo. It'll probably see play in the Death Rattle deck, which I think will be a thing. Death Rattle aggro, more so, because there's a weird Death Rattle interaction which is really slow. I think Death Rattle aggro will play this particular variant. And in mid range, I'm not sure. Maybe Harvest Golem and Loot Hoarder and things like that. We'll have to see. I mean, Blood Mage is not really an argument for this one because you don't play Blood Mage just for the Death Rattle, for crying out loud. So anyway, good card, good start. As far as I'm concerned, good start. On to the second card.
Are we gonna go in rarity order or in the order they're posted?
I think we'll just go in the order we're posted.
Okay.
Shade of Naxxramas. 3 mana 2/2, stealth. That's the first time they've made a permanently stealth the thing with an effect in a while.
Yeah,
At
and
the
it is
start of
terrifying.
at the start of your turn, gain +1/+1. That is a reference to the shade effect from Magic, by the way. Good job,
Yep.
guys. This is pretty powerful.
It is insane.
It's pretty powerful. I think in Arena, this is ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous.
Seriously, unless you have even a Flame Strike can't deal with it. Because
After a
by
while,
turn
yeah.
7, if you played it on turn 3, you can't deal with it. It's ridiculous.
it's gonna get a lot of damage in. I think the funny thing is that you had a lot of people freak out and they didn't really know why it was good, and then you had a bunch of other people who were like, actually, this isn't that good because on turn six it's a 5/5 something. It was like it was something where it's like worse than Stranglethorn Tiger or something, and that is not played. But the weird thing is about that is that Stranglethorn Tiger is 5 mana straight up. This is not 5 mana straight up, and you don't have the restriction of having to use it as a 5/5. It can be a 4/4, like it can be a 4/4 attacking on turn 5. So basically, it's a 4 mana 4/4 with stealth that's guaranteed to attack.
Yeah.
That's a better
Like
way of looking
seriously,
at it.
I think the biggest thing with this is probably an arena, or maybe even some decks that are very control-y can have
Miracle,
a good use.
Miracle will get a decent amount of damage out of this, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Even some other just general rogue decks may, but it's extremely good because if you manage to control the board for long enough, this thing can get up to the amount of damage you just need to hit them with once, and they're dead.
The other thing is Shaman Control. If this
Yep.
sticks, they just have to drill the Wind Fury and you die.
Exactly.
Like it's gonna stick a decent amount. It only dies to Brawl, Twisting Nether, Quality Consecration. I think that's about it. Like, what if you get it down really, really early? It's not going to die to any of the normal AOE's.
Yeah, I mean, if you get it down late, it might die to Flame Strike, but
I mean,
even
if you
there-
get it down late, it could die to like Lightning Storm and Consecration and such, because they might have the mana for it. But if they're consecrating one card, I'm completely fine with this.
Yeah,
The other thing is, late game, it's actually better than most 3-drops. Not worse, because it's a 3/3 that's guaranteed to attack. The problem is you can't give it taunt with Defender of Argus, because it's stealth.
mm-hmm.
Little awkward.
Well, I mean, you could still give it the taunt, but it's stealthed.
Just doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything
But
until you attack with it.
Yeah, which at that point you can attack face, have a taunt. It's not that bad. It's a good interaction.
I mean, it's okay late game. I think this is one of those things where it's kind of like King Mukla, where if you get it really, really early, it's insane, but it doesn't have a drawback.
Yeah.
Not that much of a drawback, at least. Worse than Mukla early game, better than him mid to late game, I think. Which I'm okay with on a 3-drop, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an extremely good card, and it's gonna see. I think it's gonna see a lot of play.
I'm not sure how much exactly, but it's going to see a lot in control-y decks, I think.
Yeah, like it's gonna probably replace the Harvest Golems in control, but not in mid range and stuff like that. Because Harvest Golem
I
is
don't
way
think
better.
I'd go that far.
Because I mean, the control, it's good with the Harvest Golem, but at the same time, it's
You kind of
like
need
this
the
is much
Harvest
better.
Golem sometimes, though, for
You
trading.
do. For trading, yeah. But I
And-
mean, it also depends on if we get more removal, because if we get more removal, then the control decks can just use that.
Hmm.
It'll depend on what else we get too, but I think this will see a lot of play
Depends.
in control.
I think we'll see a lot of play. It's obviously metagame dependent because this is a very slow card. But
Yeah, I mean, if you're just facing off against Hunter aggro, if you're facing off against that deck, which I don't even want to say its name because I just don't. If you are, then this will do you nothing.
unless you innovate it out on turn 1 as a druid.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, that's terrifying now that I think
Because
about it.
then at that point, the hunter can't do anything, so you just attack for 3 on turn 2, 4 on turn 3, 5 on turn 3. Because they can't kill it. So you just attack. Because remember,
Yeah.
it doesn't
All they're gonna
lose
do
the
is,
effect. It does not
yeah.
lose the effect when it comes out of stealth.
It's crazy. Oh, but they might freezing it or whatever, but still, it's insane in a druid deck. God,
Actually, you
I
can
didn't
play
think
this in aggro. What am I talking
Yeah, that's-
about? Like, you just
Oh
play
my
this in aggro
gosh.
because it's a 3 mana 3/3 when it attacks with stealth. That
Yep.
becomes a 4/4 if you don't kill it.
Yep, this is insane.
It's actually way better in faster tempo decks than I thought. It's just not good against them.
Yep.
Horrible against them. It's basically an Earthen Ring against aggro decks. It's an Earthen Ring Farseer that doesn't heal you. Really bad against aggro, but
Yeah.
against the rest of the stuff, it's pretty cool. Nerubian Egg,
I love this card, I'm just gonna say.
2 mana 0/2, Death Rattle, summon a 4/4 Nerubian. Now there's a certain Swedish player that I know very well called Forsen. This card is specifically made for that guy. He's the kind of guy who comes up with random decks, and sometimes they work, and he's a pro player because of it. But this is like a card tailored to him. I swear to God,
I just think this card's amazing. I cannot wait to get my hands on this card and play 2 of them in all my decks.
I mean, I wouldn't play 2 in all your decks, but like
No,
Ultimate
I'm
Curve,
exaggerating, obviously. But it is
Ultimate Curve,
amazing.
Nerubian Egg, Void Terror.
Yeah. Or even you just play it with other things to avoid consecrates. Because, oh hey, I consecrate or I board clear.
Yeah, you can't
Okay,
board
cool.
clear.
I have a 4/4.
Post equality consecrate 4/4.
Yep.
That's impressive.
It's crazy good.
I mean, there's going to be that one awkward situation where you have the legendary that we're going to get to a little bit later, and your opponent plays Brawl and it hits the legendary, and then you get 2/4/4s.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll explain the legendary in a second. I'm sure you've seen it,
It's
but
the doubling thing. But anyway, it is way better than it first looks. I think you can play it with attack boosting effects as well.
yeah.
So that it's actually useful. Not amazingly useful, but if you give it taunt, the 4/4 is what's going to be terrifying about this thing. It
Yeah.
may actually get silenced, I think.
You could actually play this on let's see here, in Watcher maybe. This is kind of insane. I'm thinking, but like
I'm not sure about
coin
Watcher.
coin this Ancient Watcher, and then on turn 3 you go Sun Fury. They want to kill the
Pretty
O2
defensive.
because they can't kill the 4/5, but then you get a 4/4. So they're just
They have to
stuck.
silence the egg, basically.
And even there, they still got to deal with the 4/5.
4/5, yeah.
It's also an amazing interaction
Anti.
with the Undertaker.
You know what this is very, very good against?
Hmm?
Explosive Trap.
Yeah, that's another AoE that I didn't think about.
That is going to mess so many Hunter players up.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just go, like, on turn, if you're playing Zoo, and if Hunter becomes really popular, like,
If it becomes really popular, Jotto.
more so than it is.
More so, Jotto.
It's everywhere, but it's not like the most popular deck on ladder. That's like Zoo at this point. But anyway, if it becomes
That's
the most
a
popular
coin
deck
flip.
and you're playing Zoo, all you do, 2 Nerubian Eggs in your deck. Turn
Yep.
3, just play the egg. Thanks for the 4/4.
Yep, it's
That's all you have to do. Also, the art is crazy on this card. Love the
Yeah.
art on this one. The egg, like, there's a thing in the egg as well, and it's just brilliant. I quite like this thing personally. I mean, 4/4 is actually not to be underestimated. Like, priests can't kill a 4/4.
exactly. It's unbelievably good.
I think it's very, very good. I'm not sure if it's like insane, but I think it's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing Swords, 3 mana 4/4. Death Rattle, your opponent draws a card. Now, Team 5 has a habit of doing a thing called negative power creep, also known as making cards slowly worse over time.
Yeah. Also, 4/4s.
Yeah, 4/4s for 3. And 2.
Yep.
Well, this is more of a straight up one.
Yeah, but it's pretty crazy.
The funny thing is that the Death Rattle is a downside and an upside. Because it triggers your Death Rattle guy, so you get 2/3 from him. But then your opponent draws a card, but then it probably takes 2 cards to kill this unless they're playing either Druid or Rogue.
That's true. So essentially, it makes it a 1/1, but even there, it gave you a 4/4 and got rid of 2 cards.
It makes it a 1/1. Like, it makes it a 1/1, but then they have to spend a valuable resource to kill it.
Exactly, and they may just draw like a Wild Growth. I don't know. I'm just.
I
saying
mean,
cards.
like, if especially against Miracle, if they eviscerate your Dancing Swords, they don't
That's not
have
forward in the
that for
face.
later. They don't have it for later. That's a big deal. People always think, oh, eviscerate's amazing, removal. You never want to eviscerate a minion. You have to sometimes, but you never want to. Because
Exactly.
you lose damage later on in the game, and it's really annoying to deal with that sometimes, and you don't have that 4 burn.
The only times I really constantly use it for removal is in tempo.
Yeah. I mean, in tempo, yeah, but even then, it feels kind of bad.
Yeah, it still feels bad because you'd rather use it on the face, but it's
Exactly. You
it's
still
standard.
use it, but it still feels kind of bad. In the case of Swipe, though, it's designed to be a board clear, so if you use it just to kill one guy,
Yeah, every time I play a lot of Druid, every time I have to kill one thing with swipe, I am just like, oh god, no, please.
it's like,
So-
why am I not just playing Starfall? At
I
this point.
did, but
I play Starfall for a bit, but the problem is that, like, whenever you swipe one guy, you're like, why am I not playing Starfall? And whenever Swipe doesn't kill anything, you're like, why am I not playing Starfall? And then you just kill 5 things and a big guy, you're like, that's why. Like, later
Yeah.
on.
but it's also because in the current meta, like with Zoo, yes, Starfall's pretty good with Zoo, but even there, most of the stuff they play survives it, and Hunter doesn't give a damn.
This is really weird against Soulfire.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Wait a second. So, you play Dancing Swords. They soulfire it. They discard a card and then draw a card.
That is so weird.
So it's a 1-for-1, but then they discard something. That's just odd. Yeah, that's really, really odd.
Yep.
The other thing, you could actually burn, like, this is completely random, but you could technically mill someone with this and burn a card against handlock.
Oh my god, yeah, it fits
You can
perfect
actually
in
do
that
that.
combo mill deck.
If they shadow bolt it, then they just draw another card, and then it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful in that new combo deck with mill that everyone's trying to make work with Mukla and the cold lights and everything.
It doesn't seem to work, but they're trying.
No, it doesn't seem to work, but people really like it. So this would fit great. It's an early 4/4. It causes some more mill if they actually do have to handle it. And
Yes, they
yeah,
do.
it's perfect.
4/4s are not to be underestimated. They do a decent
Really
amount
not.
of work. Like, the difference between 4/4 and 4/5 is actually quite large, annoyingly. But 4/4 in general is pretty powerful on its own, so I actually think that a 3-mana 4/4 is kind of insane. I do find it hilarious that we have 3-mana 4/3s with upsides, and then 3-mana 4/4s with downsides. It's like, where's the 3.5 for the vanilla one? I mean, I'm gonna guess that at some point in Hearthstone history, we're just gonna see a 3-mana 4/4.
In the future.
It's
Not
probably
soon,
gonna
but
happen.
in the future.
Not soon, but it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah, because I mean, with the negative power creep they have now, they'd never do something like that. It'll be once everything's a little bit more powerful that they want to make something a little bit more early to deal with the later stuff, or I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, currently they're just nerfing everything, but they're gonna eventually. I think adding cards is when we're gonna see a little bit of like going back up to where it used to be. I mean, a bunch of people have been calling power creep, and I'm just like, you have no idea what the original cards were like in Hearthstone. Like 3/2 flame imps with stealth. That is my perfect example that I use. Flame imp used to have stealth, and it was stupid. Yeah, and there's lots and lots and lots of things. I mean, I could make an entire episode about most nerfed cards ever.
You probably will.
I probably will at some point. But, yeah, at the moment, the game, there's a lot of negative power creep, and it's kind of interesting to see a 3-mana 4/4, which is what I like about this card the most. Also, the art is weird, because when it was spoiled, everyone thought it was a spell, and they were like, no, it's a minion. Anyway, we have one more card to look at. Now, this is legendary.
This card makes me very happy.
Yes, it's a 4-mana 1/7. It's joining the Mogashon Warden in this.
Yeah,
Baron Rivendare. Priests, yeah. Your minions
Inner
trigger
fire.
their death rattles twice.
Oh god.
Where do I begin with this? The funny thing is, don't play
I
this
just
in
want to
aggro.
say,
Please don't.
yeah, I've been wanting to make a death rattle deck ever since I've started playing Hearthstone. I finally have all the regular cards that have death rattle, other than the beast, because screw the beast. I want this all for that death rattle deck.
Fun fact,
It is
by the
going
way,
to work.
on the first video I ever made on this channel, I do not recommend you go watch it because it is horrible. Please don't. You will kill yourself. But it's so bad. Anyway, in that particular video, I managed to make 4th place in the first ever Managrind tournament that they ever ran back when it was called Bubble Hearth. That was a long time ago. Last April, I think. It's been almost a year. But in the first ever tournament, I actually played a Shaman aggro deck based around Death Rattle.
With Ancestral Spirit or whatever it is?
Nope. It was, I called it Persist. It had like Leprinomes when they were 1/1s, and Harvest Golems when no one played them, and things like Flametongue Totems and Cult Masters back when they were 3/4s. That was a fun time. It was a really fun deck to play, and it wasn't, in hindsight, it wasn't that good. I mean, it was just running off Cult Master essentially, but it was a deck that I always sort of enjoyed playing. I really, really like that kind of style of deck, because the whole Bloodlust aggro deck, because all your stuff sticks around. I always like that. And this, like, it makes me want to try a deck like that. Although this is more of a mid-rangey thing. Also, thanks for the 4 mana cost, Mr. Harvest Golem curve into Baron. Make 2/2/1s. The other thing is,
so perfect turn.
Cairn.
Undertaker, coin, Undertaker, Nerubian Egg, Harvest Golem, Baron. Have a nice day.
And basically, yeah, you're dead at that point. I mean, there's also the magical Christmas land scenarios with like Cairn Bloodhoof and Sylvanas, and I know they're gonna happen at some point, but it's still kind of funny. I think the other funny interaction, by the way,
ridiculous.
Baron, Faceless Baron, Faceless Baron. The way that it's worded, it's each time the death rattle triggers is twice, so they stack, like Velen
So wait,
stacks.
is it gonna go 2-3 or 2-4?
It's 2-4-8.
Oh my god.
Like people thought it was 2-3-4.
Oh my god.
Because that's what you assume, right? But Velen is worded very, very similarly, and he's 2-4-8.
Jesus.
Because it says your minions trigger their death rattles twice. Death rattles, first of all. That means if there's multiple, then they all trigger twice.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that the first one played triggers first, makes 2 death rattles. The second one triggers before the first one resolves. I know this is sounding like stack speak from Magic, but I don't care what they say. There is one in Hearthstone. There really is a stack in Hearthstone.
It's in the code. You'd have to go dig. I don't know. The way I've
It's
seen it work, as far as I
confusing.
know, is the first thing played will always trigger first before anything else that was played after it.
In most situations, they managed to make a stack that's more complicated than Magic's, which is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But the way this would work is it doubles it 3 times. So you end up with 8 triggers. First of all, that's a Lepronome that does 16 damage. Yeah. Second of
That's
all,
scary.
Abomination just turns into a nuke.
Boom.
And it keeps exploding because each one happens independently. So you
Oh my
you
God,
just
those
go get a
animations.
drink, come back, and it's still going.
It's like the old lightning storm animation or the old blizzard animation.
That just lasted
Oh
for
my
like
God.
20 seconds. Yeah, it was so slow and it lasted forever. The other thing is, if you kill someone with Lepronome with this, please send me the clip. I really want to watch that. Like where you just like play Lepronome and then you inner rage your own Lepronome, and it's like you just hear the little alchemist thing keep going over, because it happens once every like 2 seconds. You just keep going. It happens 8 times, so it's like 16 seconds a thing. If your opponent hasn't like conceded halfway through that.
I don't think they can.
Actually, no, they can't. Cause they have to wait until the end of. That's the most annoying way of killing someone ever.
Oh my god, rage quit.
It's absolute rage quit. The other thing is, if you have a Karen on the board and you go Baron, Faceless Baron, and you run
And
your
then you
Karen
run
into something, then
like
now you
Rag.
have 2 Barons and 4 Karens. Or, I mean, the funniest interaction actually, Ancestral Spirit.
Yeah, Ancestral Spirit is gonna make just so many things broken.
Random wave. Yep, Samaka has random girlfriend in the background. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, Ancestral Spirit is kind of hilarious with this because of the way it's worded. Now, the way Ancestral Spirit works is it gives it Death Rattle that it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that if you play Baron, because it doubles the Death Rattle, it comes back twice.
Yep.
So you put Ancestral Spirit on a Ragnaros, and then you put Baron down. If they
And
kill
then
the
Faceless the Baron.
No, you don't. You just big game hunter your own Baron.
I think you mean Rag, but yeah.
I mean, like, no, you could do it with Baron as well. Get 2 Barons. Like, people have actually been playing Baron as well. You can play Baron. I mean, I started with Rag and went to Baron, but you actually would do it with Baron. Actually, now I think about it.
Oh,
4 damage AOE. They hurt each other though, which is kind of awkward. But yeah, Ragnaros I think is the main one. Ysera, draw 2 cards a turn.
mm-hmm.
But then you have to like actually assassinate your own guy. That actually, no, you can't even
Yeah.
assassinate your own guy. You have. How do you kill your own one? Like siphon soul. You have to siphon soul your own Ysera. That's awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ysera becomes ridiculous if copied. I just realized if you
Malagos.
throw an Ancestral Spirit on Leroy, that's actually really fun. But anyways,
You could like
just in general. But yeah, that could be ridiculous
Ancestral
because like
Spirit.
throw Leroy like into the guy, lightning bolt your Leroy, double Leroy, boom.
Yeah, that's 18 damage. That's a big
ridiculous.
finisher for one of these decks.
Mm-hmm. And
Big
how much is
finisher.
Ancestral Spirit? I was looking at it for
2.
just a second ago. 2. So yeah.
I mean,
So that's
the
4
most
for
common
Leroy,
one.
4 for Baron, 2 for that, 1 for Lightning Bolt. Net 9. Turn 9, boom.
Also, if you put it on Cairn, that's retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, so you put Ancestral Spirit on a Cairn, and if you have a Baron on the board, you kill the Cairn, you get 2 more Cairns and two Banes.
And then you get 2 more cairns off each cairn,
Yeah.
and then your opponent, as soon as it triggers once, your opponent's like,
As soon as you
no.
pull the combo, like on turn 6 or on turn 5 with coin, you just go Cairn. And they
Yep.
like have their board, so you just kill your own Cairn into their board, basically, if they did anything. And on turn 6, you go Ancestral Spirit, Baron. And now they concede. Like, you can't come back from that. You actually can't come back from that. You can't come back from 2
Really
Cairns
can't,
and
yeah.
2 4/5s on turn 6.
Yep.
Right, you even
I was
have
gonna
enough
say
space for it.
I was gonna say something maybe with Malagos, but at the same time, how the hell do you plan on killing your Malagos?
Siphon Soul.
Like with Ysera, I guess.
It's the only way of doing it. I mean, there's probably a couple of other ways of doing it. I guess you can brawl, but that means your brawl luck with Baron is insanely good.
Yeah.
I mean, this does a lot of powerful things. The stats are like this deliberately, so it's hard to kill, but they don't want it doing damage on its own.
Yeah,
Although
because ridiculous.
priests are gonna have something to say about that.
Yeah, but I think the Death Rattle deck might be a priest deck. Either priest or druid.
Yeah, priests will like that deck a lot. I mean,
Also, Tyrion.
no, it doesn't do anything.
I know it doesn't do anything, but it's just a funny thought.
I mean, I guess you summon Ashbringer and then it like disintegrates and summons another Ashbringer instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. What else we talk? Oh yeah, there was actually one guy who in the comment section he instantly saw Baron and he was like, Baron, faceless Baron with Sylvanas on the board, steal their board.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what it is.
It's essentially a one-sided steel board, basically.
And if anyone's wondering why I want to do this with Druid, Soul of the Forest becomes everything is a Savannah High main.
Which is ridiculous. Savannah High Main is a lot more powerful than people think it is.
Also, Savannah High main with this. No one's going to do it because it's 1 card in a Hunter deck, but Savannah High main with this.
I mean, is there anything else you can utilize?
Not really, not in Hunter. I mean,
I'm thinking.
no.
I don't think there is.
Nope, I'm looking through Hunter right now. I mean, there's no.
No, there's no death rattles. That's annoying. I mean, the Savannah High Main thing is kind of hilarious, though. It dies and becomes
Yeah.
four 2/2s.
Yep. Have fun with my,
Have fun with my
board.
four
And then they
2/2s.
just consecrate and they're like, lol.
They consecrate,
Or
and then you have a 1/5 on the board that does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen a lot, actually. You're going to have a random 1/5 on the board, or 1/7 on the board that just doesn't do anything.
Yeah. But who knows, they may actually like not see it at that time. So they may actually go and do things like silence your death rattle, I'm out of silences because no one plays more than 2 silences. Then you play Baron and other death rattles and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? So yeah.
Also, please don't play please don't play the beast with this. It just gives them 2/3/3s.
Yep.
Yep, and
For
the other one
days.
is Dancing Swords. No, that's an arcane intellect if they kill it.
Yeah, not Wild Barons on the field, but I would play it in a death rattle deck.
I'm not sure if I'd play both in the same deck. Partly because Dancing Swords is less grindy, whereas this is very grindy and it's more aggro-ish, whereas this is horrible in aggro.
Yeah, but Dancing Swords just is a good card in general, and it could be played really well with Undertaker as a curve.
I know, but I think you play more. I think you play more Harvest Golem and like the Egg as opposed to Dancing Swords in the Baron
Yeah,
deck.
for sure. It's just I'm wondering like if it would
Less
even fit.
Leper Gnome, basically, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'd probably still play Leper Gnome anyways, but
Abomination is crazy with this thing, by the way. You can play Abomination with this one.
yep.
I mean, it triggers and that's a Flame Strike, basically. It's a Flame Strike
Everywhere,
on both
but-
sides of the board, but
And
then
face.
you know what happens if you Flame Strike your own board? It
Everything
triggers
dies
all
and
your
comes
other
back
death
and
rattles,
stuff, yeah.
and this lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it just triggers all of your death
fucking hell.
rattles. Yeah, it triggers all your other death rattles. You get some Harvest Golems, maybe your Leper Gnomes deal 4 each, so you take like 8 damage.
Wait a second. Oh god, I just thought. Wait. How does that work? Does that work the way I think it is, or is that going to be broken because Blizzard?
What?
You have a bunch of Nerubian eggs. Well, 2 Nerubian eggs.
Hmm.
What else dies? Lepers. No, I think just Nerubian egg will matter from that one.
I still
Yeah,
don't know what you're talking about.
because you have 2 Nerubian eggs down. Then you play Baron and Abomination in whatever order. I don't know how. Let's say turn 2 Nerubian, 3 Nerubian, 4 Baron, 5 A-bomb. A-bomb dies, triggers once, kills your eggs. Triggers again. Does it hit the 4/4s?
No.
I'm just wondering if the stack would do that because
Um,
Blizzard has done some weird stuff before.
it doesn't because of the way Harvest Golem works with Sylvanas.
True.
All the effects resolve before death rattles occur.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
It's confusing, but it works that way.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone, why you create confusing mechanics from basic cards? It's kind of interesting. I'm trying to think of the various things you can do. I mean, a lot of people are thinking about redemption decks with this, and I'm just like, you need to read the last patch notes because redemption doesn't work properly anymore.
Exactly.
They killed it.
Yep.
They actually killed it. You can't trigger on your own turn anymore, which is a big deal in a death rattle deck.
Huge.
Huge deal. Like being able to kill the right guy, pretty big. Not to mention the fact that Baron could just die, and that's kind of awkward because he comes back as a 1/1.
Hmm. Which is why Redemption is not worth playing anymore.
Correct.
But yeah, so it'd either be for me like a shaman or a druid, or maybe a priest because Baron is a 1/7.
I think Priest actually would benefit a decent amount because they just grind their opponent to death.
I guess, and I mean they could mind games like or thought steal like another Cairn or something, which is always pretty funny.
Well, I mean, they just grind them to death with like leper gnomes will deal 4 each.
And they could
And
play things
Harvest
like Shadow
Golems,
Madness
things
and
like that.
Cabal Shadow Priest to steal opponents' lepers loots and
Uh,
Harvest Golems.
I think specifically Harvest Golem is going to be the major
Yeah,
one.
Harvest Golem's the major one, but the other ones are still really good. I mean, you deal 4 with a leper, you get 2 cards off a loot hoarder, they get none. So, yeah, I'm looking through this.
I
Yeah,
mean, pretty good
it's not
curve
bad either.
is loot hoarder into this guy on turn 3 with coin.
Hmm.
You just draw 2, which is pretty
Yep.
good.
It's amazing. Puts you so far ahead.
It does really, really far ahead. I mean,
Yeah, probably not Shaman after all, because I mean the only really good thing you have with that is Ancestral Spirit. But even there, everything already has Death Rattle. So,
well, it just adds death rattles, which
Yeah.
oh god, like I mean,
But
the
I
Cairn
mean-
combo is gonna scare enough people into playing that deck, I think.
hmm And freaking the Druid one is for Soul of the Forest because, like I said before,
Tokens, I guess. Tokens could play it.
everything. Yeah, exactly. Because everything becomes the Savannah Jaime.
The problem is you kind of run out of board space at that point.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm kind of iffy about, which is probably why I actually would go Priest with this. It could make Priest a competitive deck. We don't know yet.
I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, the fact that you can interfire this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's okay. I'm not sure there'd be space for the inner fire in the deck, but yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean,
Mhm.
not to mention these these cards that we're actually going over, you get them just from playing the adventure. Like you get the legendary from playing the adventure.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is why this is ridiculous, because you do like whatever 6. What is it? What did we say? There was 6 cards a wing because there's 5 wings, 30 cards.
There's 5 wings and there's 30 cards in the set. So yeah, about 6 cards a wing, I should imagine.
Yeah, so that means you're gonna get probably 3 commons, a rare, an epic, and a legendary.
Legendary from each wing.
Maybe, yeah, legendary from each wing, which is insane.
That's a lot of cards for one, like probably 300.
Especially a lot of
400 gold.
legendaries.
Yeah, getting
A lot of
legendary for 300 gold, I'm completely fine with that. It's probably between
Mm-hmm.
300 and 400 gold, I should imagine.
I'm still thinking it's gonna be 500 a wing,
Eh,
but still.
Some people think it's like 250, and I'm like, you're really optimistic.
Yeah, it's so optimistic.
Really optimistic. It's going to be at least double in arena, I should imagine.
Yeah, because you get so much more value.
You get a lot
You get
more,
you get like a mega pack, a wing. It's ridiculous.
basically. I mean,
And
if
you
we-
can technically do quests in it, I think.
don't know about that, but we're going to have to see. We'll update
'Cause-
you when we actually figure that out.
Can you do quests in the practice mode? No, can
No.
it? Okay, then no, you probably won't.
You
be able
probably
to.
can't, because it says online a lot of the time. Anyway,
Yeah.
for the rest of the
Except
stuff...
for the Win 7.
That's true. Actually, yeah, that is true. Anyway, for the rest of the stuff, we have the, I don't know if it's an end boss or something boss of some kind. Looks a
Oh,
bit like
the
Kel'Thuzad.
Kel'Thuzad? What?
The one with Eruption and Mind Apocalypse.
No, dude, that's Hegan the Unclean.
Okay,
He's from the Plague Quarter.
I didn't see that.
It says it in the text above him.
I didn't read it. I don't read this stuff.
Doing
that
a
much.
recap while not reading the thing you're recapping.
He does
Good
look
job.
like Kel'Thuzad, though. He does.
I think he looks like Hegan the Unclean, but anyway.
That's because you know who the character is. For me, he does in fact look like Kel'Thuzad. Even though if they do have Kel'Thuzad in there, it's probably going to be something slightly bigger. But anyway, the actual two things to note here. One, cards that benefit both players.
Which is really interesting.
Draw 2, gain mana crystal for both. The other one is Eruption, a 1-cost hero power. There's actually another boss in one of the screenshots, a 4-cost hero power.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
see
it's
any.
the one down with the crypt. Anyway, it's Eruption, 2 damage to leftmost enemy minion. So basically, this is designed this way because all the totems and tokens and such go on the right side, so they don't want you exploiting the hell out of this. But it's still interesting. I actually like the way they're doing the bosses.
Yeah, and the reason that I find this extremely interesting is a lot of people have been creating cards which have had the effect like the leftmost or the rightmost minion does da-da-da. And they're actually doing this.
They're actually doing it. It's very, very
Which-
interesting.
Yeah, which is, I think they're taking stuff from the community. I think they are looking around. So keep thinking up stuff, guys.
They are definitely looking around. Like some of the stuff, I mean, the 3-mana 4/4 thing shows that they're looking around. The fact that there's a 3-mana 4/4, because a lot of people wanted a 3-mana 4/4.
Yeah.
The new game board. It's interesting, I guess. It's a new game board. I like new game boards. I just hope there's some interesting stuff to break on it.
Yeah, who is that in the new game board? That is...
No idea. I think it's a boss of some. It's a boss, probably an end boss of one of the wings.
Yeah, it's an end boss of one of the wings, I believe. The fact that he starts out with 15 armor and 30 health is pretty insane. But I know
He doesn't.
that
It's turn 10.
boss. Oh, yeah, you're right. I know that boss, though. Like, from WoW, I know him.
I wouldn't know.
I
But
can't
anyway,
remember. Yeah.
the interesting thing from here is 4-cost hero power,
Mm-hmm.
which means probably there's something crazy, and I can't wait to actually beat it. But the last thing we're going to look at before this, also trademark soon on the release date of this, last thing we're looking at is the actual art for the banner. Now, if you look at the art for the banner when you first look at it, it seems pretty normal and pretty innocuous. However, if you just look at it, there's some really weird stuff in here. Like, there's an abomination in the background wearing cards for armor.
It's probably Stitches.
It's probably Stitches, yeah.
Yeah, because Stitches, but yeah.
Stitchy. There's a golem with Hearthstone cards in his head. The shady dealer in the bottom. There's a rogue, and then there's the brood mother who's stealing cards from someone to look at them. This is a bunch of random stuff. I love this art. It's so good.
Yeah, it's the feel that Hearthstone's supposed to have, and I like it.
I like the way they actually did this, especially for a spoiler. It's done very, very well. They spoiled this correctly, and I like the way they did it. I really do. I mean, I would implore you to read the entire thing, unlike I did, but yeah, I would implore you to read the entire thing and go through it and stay updated, because they're definitely releasing news. Is the point. That's the most important thing about this. They're taking advice from the community. They're implementing more complicated interactions and mechanics based on the fact that we spent 10 minutes talking about legendary interactions. And
How long has
like
this
the
been
way they're
going?
doing.
Because it doesn't feel like it's been going that long.
That's like 40 minutes.
A regular Jotto video.
It's pretty regular for a weekly, to be honest. Even on the short side. But, yeah, I mean, I do like the complexity of all this stuff.
Yeah,
The
that's
fact
great.
that there are interactions that you can talk about, and it's not just, hey, look, it's an Amani Berserker, it deals with Senjins. Whoa. Yeah, the fact that there's play to these things, I like the fact that there are decisions to be made in the case of the Shade, for example. And you have to think about deck construction a lot out of these 5
A lot.
cards. That's what I like about it. That's what I love the most about these 5 cards. Maybe they just cherry picked them because they wanted to pick the ones that are the most interesting, and if they did,
maybe
then that's annoying. But
Yeah, and maybe the rest just suck. Maybe the rest are like 1/1s for one with no effect.
Or like wisps.
Yeah.
But we'll
Yes.
come back to that at some point when the full set is released, and I'll go over it as usual. It'll probably be 1 or 2 videos. 30 cards, I should be able to do that in one video, hopefully.
Yeah. And don't forget, everybody, Wisp is a good card in Arena.
No, it isn't.
I'm
Stop
saying
trying to
this
get
because,
people to lose.
damn, I
I
need to win somehow.
I know what you're doing. No.
Uh,
Yeah. Less wisps, more of this. I think if the entire set's like this, then Blizzard has my confidence back in terms of design.
yeah.
They
Seriously, if the
really
entire
do.
set's like this, I'm golden. I'm sold on this game again. I was already kind of, but they had done so little with it for so long. I know a lot of it has been in beta, but like I know for the new people that just got the game first time, it's still fresh, it's still great. But for everyone who's stuck in this sort of loop of we've already had this for almost a year now from beta, we need this.
I mean,
And we need it soon.
I
So
was talking
Blizzard, we
about some
need
of the
it
stuff
soon.
from last
Please.
April, like
Mhm.
earlier. I was talking about things from last April. Like, this game's been around for a while.
Yep. Like when did you guys make the like show off the Death Knight set?
3 months ago?
Exactly. We've been needing things for a long time. If the fact that you guys came up with a set doesn't show that, we need cards. This game is starting to get long to
Yeah,
play.
long in the tooth, so to speak, as far as playing goes. Although I have been laddering a bit more recently than normal.
Yeah.
But it's still like we need something new and fresh and good ideas, and I think this is actually a very, very good way of doing it. I actually love the way
Mhm.
they've done this, and also spoiler season messed up the unveiling a little bit, but they're getting there as far as spoiler seasons goes. What do I mean? Instead of just releasing the card art or something, they released the border and the rarity and whether it was a minion or not, and then the art, and everyone was like, well, this isn't really exciting to follow. And they did that for about 4 days, and then they released 5 cards with all the text and everything, and then everyone goes crazy. Yes,
Yeah.
that's how you do spoilers, guys. Don't do the art thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can't really fault them for that. Like, this is the first time they've done card spoilers. They'll get better at
Not
it.
to mention Magic has actually been doing this for a little bit now. Before they previewed the gods for the past couple sets, I don't know if anyone follows Magic, but they released the frame, the mana cost, which god it was, in the art. But that was it.
The difference was though that we already knew what that card type was. It was, or basically for anyone who doesn't follow, it was a new card type that was released recently in Magic, fairly recently within the last year. But the difference is that it was a new card type with new borders and everything, and people were speculating, and it even had like the creature type was like a crazy combination no one had ever seen before, and that's why people got excited about it. But even then, it's limited. But in
Mhm.
this case, it was just like, here's dancing swords. Enjoy the art.
Mhm.
Like, that's all it was. It was just dancing. It was basically dancing swords without the death rattle text and without the numbers.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that exciting. They just didn't spoil it correctly. But I think if they spoil cards like this, then it's definitely gonna be something people are gonna go crazy about. Because people did go crazy when they saw this earlier today.
Yeah.
They did go absolutely crazy about it because it was really, really well done. To be honest, they picked 5 incredibly good cards to spoil.
Mhm.
I
You guys
think
did good, Blizzard.
there's a card for everyone here. Actually, there's one for the people who love playing constructed, aggro players, control players, combo players. They picked a decent selection. Anyway, that's pretty much everything for the Naxxramas spoiler thing. Like early spoiler. I'm not sure when this is gonna come out. I'm guessing within the next month. I should hope.
I hope so.
I hope it's within the next month.
Mhm.
I mean,
Next month, Blizzard, please.
yeah, next month, like
Please.
early May. Can we get this in early May?
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be really good.
I'd love it if they just went, "Hey, PAX is ending. Guess what, guys? You get this." Wouldn't that be fucking great?
It'd be amazing if
That'd
this was
be-
like on my birthday.
When's your birthday?
It's like towards the end of April. So if that actually happened for me, it's like, hey, you've been playing Hearthstone for a year. Have a new set. But I mean, I digress. Like if they keep doing this, they're gonna do really, really well with this game. So
Mhm.
as far as I'm concerned, as in terms of first like impressions for this Naxxramas thing, good job.
Looks great. It looks great. I think it's gonna feel great. I think it's gonna change the meta enough where it's going to be a fun meta again. And I think it's going to create a lot of people who are going to be trying a lot of things, and it's going to be good. It's going to be like the early days when Hearthstone just started up. Not everyone's going to be playing this hunter aggro crap. If you play hunter aggro, I will hunt you down. But yeah, it's going to like open up the game a lot more, and it's going to bring a lot of people back who stopped playing, and it's just going to be good to play again.
Yep. And the fact you can get into it for free, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very good.
It's very nice. Good job on that, Blizzard.
Good job. Anyway, I think that's one of the most positive videos involving Blizzard I've ever made. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback or just want to talk about random cards and such, put it in the comment section below. I'll put the link to this news post in the description. But anyway, thank you for joining me, Smacker.
Thank you for having me, Jotto, and I am going to be happy to join you for your next video. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we're working on something else which we're going to be doing, a certain other project. But anyway, until then, this is Jotto
Ciao, ciao.
and Smacker signing off.